Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com, coming back to you with another video. And I was going through my comments, and I've talked about this before, but this is something that a lot of people deal with. And there was a comment that came through that essentially said, my death pile, my bad sourcing habits is ruining my life. And if you've ever, been in a situation where your house literally just becomes out of control. You have inventory all over the place. It's oozing in from the garage. It's in your living room. Maybe your eBay space is just, things are out of control, and you feel like, you've got this weight on your chest or this weight on your shoulders that it's just not good. You're like, you know what? I want to grow my eBay business. I know the importance of, sourcing quality items, but this is out of control because I'm not listing my items. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. And I want you to leave a comment right now. First off, if you can relate to having a death pile selling on eBay, if you can relate to that feeling of being out of control or just kind of just feeling like, man, this is just not right, smash that like button and leave a comment below, because in this video, I'm going to share 5 big ideas. This is going to be a video that you're actually going to be able to take 1, 2, 3, maybe all 5 of these and apply them to be able to list more items on eBay, to be able to get more done and essentially grow your business. So if you're excited for this video right now, then drop a comment down below and let's get right into it. So the big idea number 1, to take control of your death pile. And actually, let me stop real quick. If you don't know what a death pile is, that is essentially a pile of inventory that you've sourced that you haven't listed. And maybe you have, 10 items, and then it turns into 20, and then 50. For me, this was probably about 6 years ago when I went through this issue. I probably had like over 400 items in my death pile that weren't listed, and I was dreading listing them, and it was driving me nuts, literally. So let me know how many items that you have in your death pile right now. But that's what a death pile is. And you keep saying to yourself, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to list my items. I'm going to get to that. But it just keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger and out of control. So that's what a death pile is. So big idea number 1 is list your items first thing in the morning. So choose a certain amount of items that you want to list every single day, right? Maybe that's 3 times a week, 5 times a week, 7 times a week. I don't know if you're working a 9 to 5 or what your situation is, but choose how many days a week you want to list. Choose a specific time. This is very important. Maybe it's from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. or maybe, like I'm saying, first thing in the morning if you can. For me, when I first grew my eBay store to, I think at the time it was over 600 items, I was listing 10 items a day first thing in the morning. And it was very, very consistent. From about, 10 a.m. to noon, I would list each and every day. And I was slow at first, right? And I wasn't doing things the quick way. This is back before like eBay on your mobile device was really optimized. But getting your listings done first thing in the morning when you have the highest amount of energy, when you have the highest amount of motivation, if you can. And if you're working a 9 to 5, try to wake up early. But if you can't, pick a time. But I found that first thing in the morning, getting that listings, up and out and in my store was huge, because that's when we make our money. We make our money not when we source, we build in the profits when we source, but we make our money when we get those items listed up. And, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, you grow your store. And that's one of the keys to making more money on eBay is you have to build your store. And a lot of people are scared to build their store. And they're thinking that if I list 10 items, I got to sell 10 items. No, slowly build your store over time. You want to have a goal of having 500 items, 1,000 items, 1,500 items, if you can, of quality items that move. And in other videos, I've talked about this, and I'll talk about it more in the future. There's strategies to keep your items moving and the cash flow coming in. But list your items first thing in the morning if you can. Pick a number. I want to know in the comments right now, how many items do you shoot for or aim to list per day? And what times, what days, how many times a week? I want to know in the comments right now. Big idea number 2. And I have a video that's coming out about this. It's coming out next week. I already recorded it. It's getting edited. Hire a virtual assistant. Now, if you don't know what a virtual assistant is, it's essentially someone that you can hire. I hire people overseas in the Philippines. I use a website called Online Jobs PH. You can hire these people for as little as $2 an hour up to $7 an hour. And I've got a video coming out that's going to be sharing 15 ways that you can have a virtual assistant help you to double your sales in your eBay store by doing the tasks that take a lot of time but don't really help you to grow your business. Because there's three main pillars of growing your business, right? There's sourcing items, there's listing items, and then there's fulfilling your items. Those are the big three things you want to focus on. So hire a virtual assistant. So keep an eye out for that video. It's coming out next week. 15 ways that you can use a virtual assistant to assist you in your eBay store to be able to build your business. So look into virtual assistants. Online Jobs PH is the best. Upwork.com is solid, but it's expensive. They're more expensive. They hit you with all these processing fees. So we'll talk about that more in that next video. Big idea number 3. And now this is something that, man, I might have to put my hoodie on because no one's going to want to hear about this, right? It scares me thinking about it, but this is important. Ban yourself from going thrifting. Ban yourself from going sourcing unless you meet your goals. So, you know, we got Gaston in the house saying 15 items a day, 7 different platforms, first thing in the morning. So let's just say that Gaston has that goal of listing those 15 items and he cross-posts them on 7 platforms. If he doesn't hit his goal of listing 15 items, Gaston can't go out. Gaston can't go out and source. You know, Gaston's in the comments now. But whatever your goal is, be strict. You know, almost be like a parent to yourself and say, you want to know what, little Jimmy? You're not going to be able to eat your cookie until you eat your vegetables, right? And, you know, you've got to talk to yourself like that. You got to say, you know what, Steve? You know what, Jimmy? Gaston? You're not going to be able to go out on your treasure hunt and have a ton of fun and go sourcing until you list your items, until you hit your goal. And that's going to be equivalent to eating your vegetables, right? It's so important. You want to be healthy. You want to be fit. You got to eat your vegetables, right? You want to be able to grow your business, make more sales, you got to list more items. And that's one of the, you know, the biggest reasons why people's sales slow down. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day. He was upset. He was complaining about his sales, you know, being slow. And I said, hey, you know, how many items have you been listing? Have you been keeping up with your previous months? And he says, no, I haven't really been listing as much. There you go. You got to list your items. And that's why it's so important to conquer this death pile, start attacking this death pile, and get your listings in, right? It's like getting your vegetables in. Big idea number 4. And this should have been a prerequisite to everything. Change your mindset about listing. A lot of times people hate to list because they're like, oh, it's not that fun. It's not that exciting. You know, I hate listing. Listing's boring. I want to be out there sourcing. I want to be out there negotiating deals. What's going on, Kevin? I want to be out there, you know, treasure hunting and hitting those garage sales and bada bing, bada boom, bringing the profits in the room. But I tell you right now, if you want to be able to make that money, right? If you want to keep on picking and making that money, then you got to list your items. So you got to change your mindset. Listing, you know, might be boring. Listing might not be the most exciting thing, but you've got to really equate listing to growing your business. You got to equate listing to, you know, being able to build freedom in your life. You got to equate listing to not having to work that job at the Cracker Barrel, right? That's the most important thing. So you got to change your mindset about listing. And that's why I love having virtual assistants in my business. I don't always use them in my eBay business, but I use them in all different types of businesses. Like in my YouTube channel, you know, I'd never be able to post 3-4 videos a week if I didn't have video editors and people creating thumbnails and, you know, people uploading my videos and promoting my videos. You know, I want to create the content. I don't want to do all that other stuff. And the same goes with, you know, an eBay business, right? You can have people measuring, you can have people taking pictures and editing your photos, optimizing your titles, doing keyword research, helping with, you know, customer service, requesting feedback, so on and so forth. In that video that's coming out next week, I'm going to talk more about it. I call it a death pile, Shane. That's what I call it, a death pile. So you got to change your mindset about listing. Listing is money. Listing is freedom. Listing is growth. You can buy all the items in the world and you can use your death pile as a, you know, as a savings account. But you got to keep in mind that, you know, your business isn't going to stay afloat without the cash flow, right? Like Grant Cardone. Anyone watch that episode when Grant Cardone's shouting out the window, cash flow? He's going crazy. That was funny. Number 5, and this is my 5th big idea, and this is a game changer right here. I don't know, has anybody read Atomic Habits? Right, I'm actually listening to that right now. I've read it before, but he talks about one of the important things that that you want to kind of keep in mind when trying to build habits is you need to set a cue. Right, it's kind of like a clue. It's you know, let me give an example. Say you want to journal every single night, right? Well, if you want to journal every night, you have to rely on, remembering it, or maybe you have to rely on setting an alarm or just not forgetting it. But what if you set your journal on your pillow every single night? That's a cue. So then when you go to climb under your covers, you see the journal on your pillow, and that's a cue. And then you associate it, oh, okay, I'm gonna journal. The same goes with listing on eBay. One of the best things that you can do is the night before, set a cue, right? And I don't know if this is the perfect example, but what I used to do, and I'm going to start doing it again. I just moved from Miami to Connecticut. I'm in the middle of buying a house, and I'm out of the space again to really dive deeper into eBay. But one of the things I used to do was the night before, I'd prep all my items. So for example, clothing. How can I prep my clothing? Well, I can choose the 10 pieces of clothing that I'm going to list. So I go into my inventory and I pull them out, right? I go into my death pile and I put them aside. And then one of the things that I used to do was I would iron them, right? Or I would clean them up if I had to, maybe roll the lint off of them or iron them to make sure they were ready to go. And sometimes I would, I have these little listing templates, and I would, fill out the listing template, put down the measurements, so on and so forth. And I would get those all prepared, right? I would get them ready so the next morning when I wake up, I already know the amount of items that I'm going to list. I already know what I'm going to be doing. Everything's already prepared. Now I just have to go and take pictures, and I could batch everything. So there's a couple big ideas mixed into that, right? Setting a queue, preparing the night before, and then batching your items, right? You have a game plan, but it's already like in progress, right? One of the hardest things to do in life is, really getting the rocket off of the ground. So by preparing the night before and already getting that rocket into the atmosphere by cleaning and prepping and maybe filling out your listing template or whatever you do in your preparation, when it comes to listing, everyone has a different style. It's already kind of in motion, so you can take advantage of that momentum. So those are the 5 big ideas for really dealing with an out-of-control death pile. And keep in mind, like I said before, one of the things you really got to keep in mind when it comes to growing an eBay business is the more you list, the more money you're going to make, right? For the most part, considering that you understand how to source and your profit margins are there. So, make sure to list first thing in the morning if you can. If you can't, choose a time, choose a day that you do it every single week, or days that you do it every single week, and set a goal. Looking at hiring a virtual assistant is number 2. And I got a video that's going to be sharing 15 things that a virtual assistant can do in your eBay business. That's coming out next week. Ban yourself. Number 3, ban yourself from going out sourcing until you hit your listing goals, right? To really start to bring down that death pile and gain control and momentum. Number 4, change your mindset about listing. Listing is freedom. Listing is money. Listing is growth. Listing means not ever having to go back to that pain of working at the Cracker Barrel, right? Whatever that is for you. And number 5, set a queue, right? Prepare your items that you're going to list the night before, and do something to get it already the ball rolling in motion. So the next day you could get up, rock and roll, bang out your listings, get them done the first hour or 2 of the day, depending on your goals. And now you have the rest of the day to do whatever you want, right? You can sit back, hang out. You can go out sourcing. You can do whatever you want to do, but you know that you took care of that core part of your business that is going to equate to generating revenue, right? Because when you go out sourcing, you're not generating revenue. You're actually taking cash out of your bank account, and you're hurting your cash flow, right? You're not putting anything in your pocket. Yeah, you're building up this this savings account or this checking account, whatever you want to say, this imaginary account that has value. And some of the things grow over time. Like, my buddy Vinny, who does a lot of toys, a lot of those things are, they're out of production, and that's a nice little savings account. But you got to keep in mind cash flow, right? It's very, very important. So Gia says, thanks for the tips and motivation. Great videos, Steve. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, let me know. And if you're enjoying this video, smash that like button. Try to give me a little bit of love. Why did Susan leave me? Doug, I don't know who Susan is, but, it could be the death pile. Appreciate the love, everybody. I'm going to just go in and answer some questions. Gio says another great thing is save items in drafts. Yes, absolutely. Whoa. Sorry about that. Lost you for a second. Susie says, thanks for the pep talk. You got it. So I'm just going to hang out for a couple more minutes, see if there's any questions that come through. chilly night here in Connecticut. It's a good night to be listing. So yeah, hopefully you guys are attacking your death piles, your listing, and you know, the best cure for slow sales is to just list more. Do you recommend small items for people with limited space? Absolutely. Yeah, you know, big items have a lot of profit in it. For the most part, a lot of people avoid and they don't like to deal with bigger items. I don't. But yeah, I mean, smaller items or items that, like, for example, clothing can be large, but you can break it down, you can fold it up. Toys are amazing. I love books, you know, on Amazon FBA because I can ship them off to the fulfillment centers, you know, but that's FBA. Glassware is pretty small. So there's a lot of small items out there that you can definitely mess with. Doug says, what's your opinion on private label? Yeah, if you have the money and you have the time and you're willing to invest, I definitely think there's some good opportunities, but you've got to be creative and you've got to be competitive, and you got to be willing to think outside the box and really invest the time and money into it, because it takes some time to be successful with it. Lisa says, welcome back to Connecticut. Hope to run into you and Mama Profits at Savers. Yeah, I'm sure we'll run into each other one day, Lisa. Appreciate you. Dustin, what's up, Dustin? Man, I saw your pictures the other day. You're getting fit, brother. You're looking jacked. Love it, man. Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to get a meetup going once all this craziness comes around. Chad says, when you first started out, what did you at least want to profit on each item? When I first started, it was a $5 profit, right? That was what I was aiming for. And I still remember, you know, this was probably 2014, 2015, back when Savers wasn't just ridiculously stupid. I mean, in terms of their pricing, you can pick up items for $2.99, $3.99. And I remember looking at Brooks Brothers items, and you know, I knew I could sell them for $20, and after fees and everything, I was like, I can make $5 profit on, you know, on these boring Brooks Brothers. I'm not talking about like the nice ones or with the logo on it, but like the boring ones you were able to sell for $20 all day long. And I was happy with that. But then over time, you know, things would sit, and sometimes the prices would go down, and you'd take a best offer. And then I kind of weighed out my time, what my time was worth. And I was like, it's not really worth my time to make $5 profit, because there's this amount of time that you have to spend up front to, you know, clean items, list items, you know, there's customer service and stuff. So as my time became more valuable, I went from, you know, $5 profit to $7 to $10, so on and so forth. With eBay, it's a bit different than Amazon FBA. With Amazon FBA, I'll pick up items that make $3 profit because I can leverage my time by just shipping it to the fulfillment centers. With eBay, it's a lot more hands-on, and it really depends as well if you're like a one-man or one-woman show, or you have people who are working for you. So those are a lot of different things to consider. Robert, are liquidation pallets worth it? It depends where you source from. I've sourced some really good ones that were extremely profitable, and I sourced some that really just stunk, and it was not a good investment at all. So I think it's about finding the right supplier and getting lucky. Yeah, Doug, I would give it a shot if you have the money. Hey, Michelle, she says, thanks. Nice to have you back in New England. Appreciate you. So it looks like those are most of all the questions that are coming through. Hope you guys have an amazing night. Oh, more questions coming through. It looks like there's a delay, so maybe I'll have to keep answering them. Rusty says, how many items should you try to keep in your store at a time? That's a really good question. It depends on your goals. It depends on how much money you want to make. You know, if you're just like, this is a hard question to answer, but like if you want to make $1,000 gross, right? Let's just say you want to have maybe 100 items in there, but it depends upon, you know, are you selling like little toys that are selling for 10 or 12 bucks each? In that case, you're going to want hundreds, you know, 300-400 items possibly. Like, are you selling like more high-end items? Because if you have 100 blazer sport coats and suits, then you could probably hit $1,000 in sales, if not more, with that. So it depends on, you know, what type of items you're selling, what are your goals. But overall, the goal should be to continue to grow your inventory, unless you have such an amazing sell-through rate that you're selling things that just flip like hotcakes, right? But for the most part, for people to be able to grow their eBay sales, they have to continue to grow their store and the size of it as well. My son, Nee, says, thanks for the April Fool's joke, you sellout. You had me You had me. Stay safe. You guys, who here, put a 1 in the comments if you saw my April Fool's video and you were thinking to yourself, like, this guy can go screw himself. I literally, I'm not even kidding. I went on a hike today and I was with my buddy and he was like, I was talking to my mom on the phone and she's like, wow, I'm really proud of Steve. I'm happy that he's come back to Connecticut and he has that big opportunity working at Goodwill. And I'm like, oh my God, like how many people didn't watch that video? I looked at my sub count, guys. It dove down like 400 that day. People didn't watch the video. Or maybe they watched the first minute or two and they were like, screw this guy. Like, he can go kiss my you-know-what. I had so many unsubscribers that day, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I think it was worth it. It was such a good April Fool's joke. Yeah, Joy, you saw it. Robert, appreciate you. Believe 2113 says, hey Steve, I'm so proud of you. I remember when you first started making videos, you inspired me and helped a lot to make a lot of money. That's awesome. Appreciate you. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, so anyways, you guys have a great night. I'm going to get rocking and rolling right now. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Keep grinding, keep listing, and I will see you soon. Peace.